Hi, you with Julian on the Brown Note in the studio for the first time, a long time. And a review of the latest album by one of my favourite artists, Bill Callahan, called Reality, and spelt backwards as the album title. Bill Callahan has a long career. He's from born in Maryland in the United States, one of the states in America. I've always had this notion that America needs to simplify. I don't know that it needs Delaware or Maryland or Connecticut. I think if you can drive through it in under an hour, just consolidate. He is synonymous with a very indefatigable, integrity-fueled, is it a baritone? Almost like a speaking voice. And almost this gentle alt country sort of vibe. Recorded as a lo-fi artist throughout the 90s as Smog. And started recording under his own name, Bill Callahan, around 2007 with Woke on a Whale Heart. And this is his ninth album as Bill Callahan, and his 8th, and his 19th solo record. Now, earlier this year, he released Blind Date Party, a collaboration with Bonnie Prince Billy, which is a double cover album. I think one of the most underappreciated albums of the year. About a third of it is chaff that you don't really need. 2/3 of it is, I feel, fabulous. And two artists that meld together, both accentuating what was great about each other. So Reality is on the back of an incredible run. I didn't get into the first few albums because I didn't know who he was, but Dream River was one of my tracks or albums of the year back in 2013, and Sing, the opener, is probably my favourite song ever about being a solo traveller. The only words I said that day were beer and thank you. Looking for a window that isn't there, strangers becoming unknown company. It really did, as someone that's travelled mainly by themselves throughout my life, it really struck a chord. Anyway, I'm very excited about this album. So he had Dream River, Shepherd in a Sheepskin Vest, which was a double album, pretty vast. Gold record, a lot more focused, a lot more personal. He's got married, he's had a kid, he's in his 50s. And this is like the solo album following that up after the Blind Date Party was last year, I think. Not this year, 2021. This time around, I find him on a particularly interesting footing. So the opener, First Bird, is really quite focused and upright, which is setting the tone for this album. Quite immediate. I think on Shepherd on the Sheepskin Vest, he sort of indulged in his more sort of fragmented and low-key music a lot more, but that there isn't really much here that is fragmented or low-key. Everything feels fully fleshed out and has a purpose, and that he's made an album. Like every track is in where he wants it to be. The second one is showcases another element of the album, even though it's a lot more spare and soft, ballady. The opening line is just perfect. I feel something coming on. Is it a disease or a song? Is as good as it gets. Track 3, Bow Evil, showcases that's a story song about other things. So this album is mainly personal stuff about him, and then it veers off into storytelling occasionally. And another really, I really like it when our artists mix up their soundstage a lot. And I just reviewed the Alex G album and complained that it was two tonally the same throughout, and that the fragments of sort of like atonal noise and that were really refreshing, which we don't get much on that album, God Save the Animals. But here it's all over the shop, and it shows up on that third track. But none of that really compares to, well, it does, because they're all good songs, really good songs. But track 4, Partition, is one of a run of about 3 songs on here that are him as the best I've ever heard him. It goes into jam territory. Jim White is a drummer on this album from the Dirty Three, and I continually recognise the importance of percussion on this album. The drumming is often standout, and he can be a bit. Bill Callahan can be a bit sleepy in his music, but here it's a lot more sort of upright and focused and at the listener. And the drumming, the military tattoos, and the energy that brings is often the reason why it's such a standout. And also, it devolves into a little bit of like Robbie Basho, John Fahey, Indian ragga music. So if you've never heard their sort of like 12-string acoustic Indian ragga music mixed with Americana, it's a natural fit for Bill Callahan, and I hope it's something that he explores even more. Track 5, Lily, is really dark. I held the elevator for your soul. It sounds like it's in the hospital with someone dying. It might not be dying, it might be something else. A really dark song. 6, again, Naked Souls, one of the best songs he's ever done. Great use of electric guitar in it, real slow burn. Female vocals, which appear on at least 2 tracks, really amp it up. And as does some of the avant-garde sort of free jazz side of it, which I hope he continues to use in his music. Couple of more ordinary tracks. I think track 7 is Coyotes, sort of gentle lilting love song. Track 8, another. He uses electric guitar on this album on quite spare tracks with this sort of like glissando, I think the term is, which really reminded me of Bonnie Prince Billy. I hope those two keep working together. Again, not one of the better tracks on the album. But track 9, Natural Information, again, one of the best Bill Callahan songs ever. Really upright. It's almost enough energy in this song for it to be a Rolling Stones sort of Exile on Main Street era. It's rolling, irresistible, another high point. Track 10, The Horse, starts with the horse walks in the house through the front. More and more, the horse walks in the house through the front door. What used to be forbidden, great metaphor there. A bit sparer a song, but still, other than tracks that dip down to a 7 out of 10, it remains a very high quality throughout. And track 11 has a long and very atonal, probably the longest atonal sort of free jazz part on the album, which reminded me of Spiritualize. Ladies and gentlemen, we're floating in space, where there are, is it No God, Only Something, where they have a whole song that is just this atonal workout. Didn't expect that from Bill Callahan. Loving these additions to the soundstage, and a really pretty arresting riff with Last One at the Party. Eyes Like Typewriters. Lyrics are standout throughout this album. Constantly felt my brain pricking up at these very interesting lyrics. Really consistent album. As I said, compared to the Alex G album, he pushes it a lot more. A lot of songs that go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 11 songs are over 5 minutes, and 3 are over 6 minutes, which shows how there's a lot of development on these songs. They all found the Alex G album had a lot of sketches. Everything was sort of like sub 3 minutes. Here, everything is in its right place and is fully developed. So I think this has been underappreciated. Some of his, I think critics throw a claim at him. What did he get on Metacritic? Because this, to me, is a real high point in his discography. He sounds 88 on Metacritic, one of the best reviewed albums of the year. Pitchfork gave it a 7.8. What? This, to me, is near perfection from Bill Callahan. I haven't really gone back to Shepherd in a Sheepskin Vest. Gold Record was really good, but a bit more subdued. This is so consistent. Really interesting instrumentation. Loving the atonal free jazz sort of elements that come in. The drumming of Jim White, really good lyrics, really focused. I don't think he sounded better. Bill Callahan and Reality, I'm going to give a rock solid 9 out of 10.